Yeah, I just don't think it's theoretically. Even if you launch at the bottom, you'll still see dips. There's people that need money that they sacrificed with. You're going to see, yeah, some people have been frustrated by the project. I think there's
Okay,
going to be people dumping. There's going to be people
okay,
dumping their sacks for sure.
okay. Yeah. So you basically you buy if you release at the bottom, then all the dry powder just dumps on top of this. It goes into the system. That's what happens. So that's why another reason you'd want to go towards the very very bottom is eventually people are going to snap and be like, I've got to spend all my money on that right now. And so that's what the goal is to release it at the bottom. I think that would be
Oh,
my
for
goal.
sure.
And then
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the most beneficial would be because imagine if you released at the bottom and then Pulse dipped 50%, and you could pick it up right down there pick it up down in the dungeon.
another thing that Richard has said, the people that are willing to part ways with their crypto, to buy something are the cool people. It's just another way of him saying buy low, sell high, or whatever. Buy low
Are
and
you
hold.
thinking 50% of the sack price, or?
Yeah, I've got absolutely no idea, but that'd be nice. If you look at that's the thing too. I mean, we all there's this thing in your head that says no, Pulse is different. Like there's just too much, too much hype. We've waited too long. The price can't go that low. But look at all of these. Look at history. Look at Hex. You know what I mean? Hex opened day one at a third of a penny, and then gained lots of zeros. Look at Akosa. Exactly, day one it was pretty much $2, $1.85, $2. Now we're at 60 cents. Yeah, it's in a bear as well. But like most of these projects had a pretty good dip after launch because there's the FOMO in, and then there's sell-offs. So, but it doesn't mean that'll happen with Pulse. But like part of me is scared, thinking, oh, that probably won't happen. But then there's a good chance it will.
It's probably not ideal to launch at the bottom of a market for some reasons. I mean, at the top of a market, when you launch, people are just willing to just throw their money into green candle. So that's kind of weird in that way because the people that buy in the bear market are going to end up with a ton more tokens. But then launches are opposite. People end up with fewer tokens when launches happen at the top. There's more money in the crypto system at the top. So right now there's like very little money comparatively macro wise. There's not as much money. So launching at the bottom, there's less money, economic energy in the system when you launch. And that means that like the people that are willing to spend money on some tokens are definitely going to end up with a ton more tokens. So it's better for the entrance into the system to purchase tokens in a bear market versus launching a new project at the top of the market. I mean, actually, it's got its perks too, because market sentiment is not bearish; it's bullish. So there's positives and negatives, I guess.
Yeah, depends if you're looking to accumulate or you're looking to or you've already got that that sacrifice or that pre-purchase, and you're just looking to boom.
Like what did Richard do? Richard started his sack at the top of the market, basically, or leading up towards the bull market. That's when he asked people to sacrifice, which is ideal time to do that because people have money that they want to spend on crypto. I mean, he is such a genius.
He talked about this kind of thing when Pulse compared to ETH and what that's going to do. I'm kind of glad that the Pulse chain is taking its time to launch because it's going to be more exciting to see all the developments that are going to happen if it launched earlier this year. So I think that I sacrifice for both, but I don't mind waiting to see what happens in a better market condition.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. It's going to be absolutely wild. Yeah, ideally, in a perfect world, it'll be timed. Pulse will launch right at the bottom. But I think someone else made a point the other day, which makes sense. And I think Richard will want it out. I mean, now's still a pretty good time. If V3 testnet comes out and they don't find any issues with it, yeah, it wouldn't surprise you whether they launch sooner. Then even if they think it's going to bottom further, I think he'll want it out. There's a lot of expectations. So it's an interesting one. But I agree. Ideally, if the bottom is April, May, what a perfect time to launch. He's under pressure too, I think. You know what I mean? He's under pressure to launch, and I think, I don't know if he's playing the bottom or I think he just wants it to be solid and perfect. And if he gets the green light from his devs that it's ready to go, that pressure of just people, frustrated because it's taken so long, that he might just launch even if he feels that we haven't bottomed yet.
Factor is flawless operation for a year will give extreme confidence. And if there's any flaws in it, those will get amplified across social media. So it's really got to launch solid, just like Hex,
Yep, 100%.
We're really early to this whole thing. this is pretty exciting.
Music to my ears, man. Music to my ears.
Like this guy's not just all talk. He can literally prove everything that he's talking about, and he's not just saying things to say things. Like sometimes I'll like be explaining something to people and then I'll kind of like butcher it, but this guy just seemed like he just knew more than the average person. He just like knew about every single thing he was talking about.
It's almost odd because he says he spent the last 10 years or whatever, a decade basically playing video games, but I feel like that's not necessarily true. Maybe more, but I mean, you can't just like play StarCraft for 10 years and be that smart. I feel like he was definitely learning something along the way.
Yeah, he had to be, man. Especially like he started mining Bitcoin, and then I'm sure like from there he went down the rabbit hole, right? Like,
what surprised me is that a lot of people, and rightly so, but a lot of people in the crypto community didn't like Craig Wright because of, his claims about being Satoshi. And Richard actually confronted the guy to his face and made a video, and nobody was talking about that. That spoke a lot to me. Like, I look for the things that are really loud that people aren't talking about, and I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't people talking about this guy? This guy's a fucking hard ass. Like, he did what everybody talks on YouTube, but never to the guy's face, and he actually did it. So I was like, and Richard was saying a lot of the same things, but he knew a lot more, way lot more about the topics. But I was like, look, somehow I knew Bitcoin had been hacked. I knew that was like not exactly true what the Bitcoiners were saying when they were like, yeah, it's unhackable, it's military grade encryption, yada yada. So, but then you're like, well, wait a minute. There are these instances in the past, like that are kind of like these like nebulous kind of like tales that you pick up on after you've been in the community for a while. But like, I spent 1 year just learning everything that I could about cryptocurrency because I set my mind out to do that. And I made a little bit of money, but I was like, okay, I gotta watch this and learn even more because they're not always honest, these Bitcoiners and shit. And then I don't know if I found out about Richard and I didn't remember or something, then that's a different story. But like, he hadn't really become on my radar until the Mitch Ray show. And looking back at some of his old videos, I can see why I would have totally blown it off just because the thumbnails, it looks like a scam, and I don't know. And that's the one thing I find, like, can somebody help me understand why you want to look like a scam? Because doesn't that turn people off that you might want? Or am I looking at that wrong?
Yeah, man, I'm not sure. I don't think he like intentionally made wanted it to look like a scam, but like I was kind of on the same boat, just learning everything and not really knowing what's a scam and what's not a scam. And then I think at least one of the reasons I didn't heavily invest was because I didn't dig deep enough. And then there was like all the furus just talking mad trash about Richard, and at the time not doing enough research.
Exactly. It was those furus that did it for me too, because they were talking shit, and I was like, wait a minute, Roger Ver, you're a scumbag. Why are you talking shit? And then I was like, wait a minute, I really like this guy, and he made fun of he made fun of Mitch, sort of like, telling him like, why the fuck, that's stupid that you're not using, log scale. Well, I don't know any better either, but it's funny because I'm sitting there trying to learn how to do TA from Mitch, and then here comes Richard. He's like, it's all crap. This is how you do it. And I'm like, this guy's cool.
And what a simple thing. Like, you would think everyone, especially furus, would know. You know what I mean? Like, you just click the button, right? And I didn't know that. I get it. If someone wants to explain it, hop in. Feel free. Yeah, it just makes sense. He made a lot of people look really fucking stupid but with the simplest things.
Well, the auditing of Hex, it's like, well, yeah, duh. Why wouldn't anybody else want to claim such a thing? Though everybody in crypto should be claiming that. Like, that should be a standard, like, oh, okay, you're going to design something, it should be audited. But then when you think about it in the real world, outside of crypto world, in the legacy market, all these tech companies, like, their code, if a Microsoft's code is audited, they don't do a very good job, right? Because you can hack into that shit pretty easily, if I'm not mistaken. So, Richard's better than any of these companies. Or, I mean, not companies, but you know what I mean? Like, the way he produces things is way better than the legacy side's producing any of the, similar things.